Ah, it's a lovely day in the garden. The air is warm and the plants look happy. Oh, look! There's EllieSnores. She looks like she might be daydreaming. Maybe something has caught her eye. It looks like it's clouds. Oh, hey! It's me, EllieSnores. Welcome to the first episode of a new miniseries I came up with recently, where I create a fantasy map from clouds. This series is going to be a 5-episode long adventure from start to finish, and by the end, not only will I have created a fantasy map from clouds, but I'll have filled said map with lore and craft a short story out of it. This is going to be a recurring miniseries on the EllieSnores channel, since I think making maps and story crafting is actually really neat, and clouds are a wonderful reoccurring randomizer that doesn't use the internet. I also think it's going to be an excellent way to blend storytelling and art on my channel. I get to flex the endless repository of story that comes to me while I attempt to sit quietly with my thoughts. I want to do a lot more talking in this series. This video is categorized as an art process video, but I won't be treating it as the same as the previous entries in this category. I'll be telling you more about why maps are so cool and how they got humans as a whole where we are today. I'll also be talking about methods of deconstructing a written narrative by creating its physical environment first, in later episodes when we cover story crafting more in depth as we add lore to the land. Let's start off with, what is a map? A map is a graphical representation of an area, drawn to scale and generally flat. Map making and the science behind maps is called cartography, which has been something humans have dabbled with since civilization took seed and flourished. There are many varieties of maps used to describe a plethora of things. Geographical, geopolitical, and geological maps being a few examples of types of maps we can encounter in our daily lives. The type of map we start to create from these clouds is a topographical map, describing the shape and elevation of the land above sea level. What should we name our new land? Some of the earliest positive evidence we have of maps being created and recorded are clay tablets coming from Babylon dating back to 2300 BC. Making maps was an integral part of expanding civilization for the dissemination of information on groups surrounding areas. This, however, cannot account for thousands of years of earlier human expansion and other methods of recording area and sharing it among their community, making it difficult to accurately say when we started making maps. Although we'll never know the true inception of maps by early humans, we can definitely see how maps evolved through the ages. Take the ancient Greek, whose lust for geographical knowledge pushed them to have some of the most remarkable maps and descriptions of areas in the ancient world. Even with the belief of a flat world at the time, they went out and explored, creating some of the best accounts of the ancient worlds at the time. Then perhaps Roman legionnaires using those maps to march across Europe in the name of expansion and the Roman Empire, which was not to be as we see the rise and fall of empires across the world being recorded and shared on maps. The church takes control of how maps largely function during the Dark Ages, and knowledge gets suppressed and lost. Where are you, and how you get anywhere is up to the Lord above. But how much do we trust Jesus to take the reins of our adventure when there is no map leading us to the destination? Let's come back to our map for a second. We start adding color to it, which as some of you may know is my least favorite/favorite part because I'm colorblind, but we do our best. As determined earlier what is land and what is sea, we add a light blue for the more shallow part of the inlet, then move on to a muddied green color for the land. I jump back and forth between the sea and the land here, but get that outer ocean looking darker blue to indicate deeper water. I leave a clear distinction from deeper water to shallow water with the color. Adding back our topographical lines, we focus on the right portion of the land where the lines are describing a higher, flatter area and some open space. As reason and logic become attractive again, we see surveys and exploration break out during an age of exploration, which, depending on who you ask, has varied outcomes to the world and maps describing it. In 1891, an international world map was proposed, but due to World War I and World War II, the project would not come to fruition until the 1980s. By then, we had advanced technology that took map making to a whole new level. I start coloring it in to indicate this area is heavily wooded area and begin adding it to one of the islands before taking a step back and just deleting the whole thing. Delete your art, chat. I didn't like how it was looking, so instead worked on those 3 open spaces in the center. I added back the green and it works better this time, so it stays and we add more depth on the lower terrain levels going outward. We turn our attention to the mountains, briefly, before we end this episode, by pulling that green over to the gray side and filling in those peaks. We now get a gradient of sorts on land indicating denser vegetation on land, which could be forests, rolling hills, pastures, and other land archetypes. I hope you enjoyed this first episode of Fantasy Cloud Maps with EllieSnores. Thanks for watching! See you in the next one!